You are listening to Ring the Bell in Park County.
Hi, I'm Larry French, your host for this morning.
And I am Bob Berry, and we would like to welcome everybody from Park County to our new Ring the Bell in Park County show.
Morning, Bob.
Good morning. We have a new show that we hope that will grow and grow and grow. This show is going to deal with you. There will be many different types of topics and different types of hosts that will be with you on Saturday morning. Larry would like to start this morning with a prayer.
Thank you, Bob. Father, we ask that you be with us and that you guide us and direct us so that we are doing your duties. And we just ask that you bless this show, and we thank you for all your blessings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Ring the Bell is, well, you're probably wondering why we're here and what we're about. So our mission statement is, we are concerned Christian patriots of Park County, Wyoming. Why are we here? We wish to motivate and inspire Park County residents to become involved citizens. And what are we trying to accomplish? We want to raise awareness of international, national, state, and county issues to local residents and how they impact us.
And you know,
mini car show with.
I don't know what that was. We're going to have a lot of bloopers probably for this first show, so bear with us. We'll try to bear with each other. Larry and I and a number of other folks who you will meet as this show progresses decided that we would try a little bit different avenue of what's been going on before. It's a good thing to educate people, and that is what this show is going to be about, but it's going to be more than that. We want to inspire people to get involved. One thing that I have been trying to do ever since I got active in the political scene here in Park County, and particularly in Cody, was to shake people out of this doldrums or everything is just fine type of attitude. I guess the thing that hit me the hardest when I was running for Senate 4 years ago, or however long ago that was, the last man that I campaigned with over on Cooper Lane, I walked up to him and I wanted to start talking about issues, and he just stopped me dead in my tracks and said, "Bob, I'm doing just fine." And then I would try to bring up another topic, and he would say, "No, I'm doing just fine, Bob." It was like he only cared about this 3-foot in diameter circle that he was standing in. And it occurred to me then, a little late, that I hadn't really brought the message like I had wanted to. I want people to get involved. I don't want you to just be educated. I want you to take action on your education. Part of the essence of this show is going to bring up topics that are national, international, Park County, Cody, and how those issues affect you directly. A lot of people think, well, immigration, that's no big deal. That's happening in Texas. That's happening in California. That doesn't make any difference in Wyoming or Park County or Cody, so I don't care. We should care. We have Somali people that have been brought here as refugees into Wyoming that are going to definitely affect us. So what do you think?
Well, it's an interesting concept, and part of some of the shows that we're going to talk about are Boehner's resignation and his deputy's refusal to run, and how that's going to affect us. We're going to talk about ballot initiatives, recalls, referendums, ballot propositions. Park County is gearing up to the city of Cody, the city of Powell, the city of Meeteetse, and Park County is gearing up to increase our sales tax by 25%. They'll tell you it's a 1 cent sales tax, which is true, and 1 cent addition on, but it's actually a 25% increase. BLM issues, EPA issues. There's a guy down at, I think his name is Johnson, down in around Lyman, followed all the rules of the state, built a stock pond, and EPA came in there and said, you can't do that, you have to tear it apart, and he has refused. I don't know what the fine is per day, but they told us last night at a meeting that it's up to $13 million in fines. And they really don't have that authority. And then what they did at Riverton in the Clean Air Act and Waters of the USA and those kinds of things. So those are some of the things that we're looking about, that we're trying to inform people with.
And the way that you will communicate with us is through Facebook. This is not going to be like Speak Your Piece where you call on the telephone. The Facebook page that most everybody knows how to use, I am one of those people that doesn't, but we have adequate help in that regard. Please Facebook us, and the way you do that is you go to Ring the Bell in Park County, which is going to be hosted by Abigail Adams, if you know who Abigail Adams was. The other way you will be able to contact us is an email address, which we will get to you here in a little bit. I don't have it before me right at the moment, but we will repeat that often. Please get involved, first of all, by contacting us, and secondly, get involved by, if something really is a hot topic on the front burner of your opinions, then do something about it. There's too many people around here in this country that think, well, I can't do anything about that. I'm just one vote. Well, if you can't do anything about it, how did things get so bad? Somebody went out and voted, right?
Or didn't vote.
Or didn't vote. Those people that say, well, if you don't vote, then don't gripe. Okay, fine. Voting is only one aspect of what we have to do. We can't just vote. We have to get out and do something. So, here we have the email. If you got a pencil, RTB now, N-O-W. RTBNOW at zoho.com, and that's ZOHO.com. So that's how you can contact us. And if we get a lot of hits on a particular topic, if it's not what we're talking about, then we will start talking about the things that you want to talk about. So we would encourage all of you, all your friends and neighbors, to listen to this program, and let's talk about the things that impact your life directly. And there are a lot of issues out there.
And what we're trying to do is motivate our citizenry to understand that most all important decisions are made in the primary in Park County, because we're so heavily Republican. So here's some things that we've thought about. If you approve of the Washington D.C. politics and what's going on, go ahead and stay home. If you approve of the taxes raising 25% on all Park County purchases, go ahead and stay home. If you like the status quo, do you know what the status quo is, or what it means? And, for example, the governor appoints many state, committees,
yeah,
committee heads, department heads, and those kinds of things that are paid for by our dollars. So if the importance of the governor it is extensive, and people who advise the governor is very telling, and who has his ear and who influences his decisions, and we just need to know if you know that.
Well, so many issues are brought up that people say they have no control over. And I would suggest, have you been to a city council meeting? Have you been to a county commissioners meeting? Have you been to any of the meetings that happen all around? And in the defense of city council, there are many times the city council people have said, I'd love to hear your opinion, and nobody tells them. Nobody comes to the meeting, nobody calls them. And they are making policy that affects you today and right now. So that's the type of stuff that we want you to do. For instance, like we said about politics, I have a great joke about that. The word politics. Poly means many. Ticks, blood-sucking parasites. Now, that's the type of attitude most people have about politics. And politicians. we don't want to be politicians. When I was running for Senate, I did not want to be a politician. I wanted to be an elected citizen to represent the people of Park County. And a lot of people want to do that. The problem is they go to Washington or they go to Cheyenne and they get changed. We have to look after those people after we elect them and say, look, here's what we sent you there to do. We don't care what these people are trying to influence you to do. Do what we say. So we have a break coming up. So welcome back to our Ring the Bell show. We thought it would be apropos to read you the preamble to the Declaration of Independence. And so, Larry, why don't you do that?
This says in Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the cause which impelled them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the assent of the governed, whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evil are sufferable, than right themselves to abolishing the forms which they are accustomed. But when the long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them to absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of the colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former system of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having a direct object to the establishment of absolute tyranny over the states. To prove this, the facts should be submitted in candid world. Then they went on ahead and they listed 27 grievances. And I would challenge anybody who's listening to this show to go back and read the Declaration of Independence and to get copies of the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wyoming and become informed.
Well, one thing, when you were reading that, two things occurred to me. First of all, when you're talking about Declaration of Independence, everybody always thinks of taxation without representation, throwing the tea in the drink in Boston Harbor. Well, taxation without representation is number 17 out of those 27 grievances. And the other thing that occurred to me while you were reading that is the word duty. We don't just have the right to vote, we have the duty to vote. And there are so many people that I know and that you know. Oh, well, I just don't have time. I got to go dig beets. I got to go do this. I got to take care of my children. Well, great, you do. But this country is dissolving around us. And the reason it's dissolving around us is too many good people are not standing up and saying anything.
And that's so correct, and it's just a sad commentary of the state that we have lapsed into. And, it's really, really intriguing to get involved and to become informed. And, it's probably been, I had this happen to me when Senator Northrop passed away and they needed to fill his position. I threw my hat in the ring, and we met in Lovell. Our debate, there was about 10 people. The county commissioners from Park County and Bighorn County chose his successor, and the Republican parties advanced 3 names for them. And Senator Ray Peterson was chosen, and he's been reelected. One of the things that really surprised me when we were going through that was one of the people who wanted to be senator, somebody asked him about the Constitution. And he said, it's been so long ago, this is not a quote, it's a paraphrase. Constitution, what difference does that make? And I was shocked because it's the foundation.
It is.
And it's also based on the Bible. I want to read this. The fundamental basis of this nation's law was given to Moses on the Mount. The fundamental basis of our Bill of Rights comes from teachings which we get from Exodus and St. Matthew, from Isaiah and St. Paul. I don't think we emphasize that enough these days. President Harry Truman.
Yeah. And there are so many of our founding fathers, our founding mothers, or whoever you want to say, all the way up to today, that believe that. One of those is David Barton, who was just here in Cody a couple weeks ago, that tried to re-educate people as to where the Constitution came from. And most people, first of all, have not read it. And second of all, they think they can't read it because it must be something you have to have a lawyer sit by you to understand. And that's not true. So we want people to really get involved. If you would read your Constitution, you would be shocked and amazed at what has gone on in the past 60 years, or, since we've been alive. Larry, you're the same age as I am, right? You're 65? I'm 65. I'm 65 next month. And the change in this country has just been immense. One thing we need to keep doing, and I'm going to do this right now. Those of you that have not or just tuned in, this is Ring the Bell in Park County, and we would like for you to contact us any way you can on Facebook and by email. And our Facebook page is Ring the Bell in Park County, and the email is rtbnow, N-O-W, at zoho.com. That's zoho.com. So please contact us, because we want to hear what you think, and we want to talk about what you think. And you give us your opinion. And if you want to be on this show, convince us and we'll bring you on. So,
no kidding, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. We are not in the mood of just speaking our own opinions just to hear ourselves talk. If we say something, we are going to our best to document what we have to say. On the Facebook page, there is going to be a link to whatever topic we're speaking on that particular week. Now, what you have to understand about this particular show, we're just kind of rambling. We're getting everybody in the mood and get you interested, but each show will have a specific topic, and that topic is going to be well documented on our Facebook page, and whatever the host or hosts have to say, they're going to be able to back up with newspaper articles or whatever. The links are very important. And what you also have to understand, everything we say on this show is our opinion. It's Larry's opinion, my opinion. It is not the opinion of this radio station, but we hope that it's your opinion. And if it's not your opinion, try to change our mind. Please contact us and let us know what you're thinking.
When David Barton was here, he was telling about the Constitutional Convention, and it had broken down into a squabble. And the part that was really sad about it was that it was coming apart and was not going to.
No, they were about to just dissolve. Everybody was packing up and leaving.
Right. And so.
Ben Franklin.
Yeah, and the part that's interesting about Ben Franklin is supposedly, we've heard throughout the years, that he was the least religious of the entire group person involved. But I have a little bit here that he said, "Before I sit down, Mr. President, I will suggest another matter. I am really surprised that it has not been proposed by some other member at an earlier period of our deliberations. I will suggest, Mr. President, the propriety of nominating and appointing, before we separate, a chaplain to this convention, whose duty it shall be uniformly to assemble with us and introduce the business of each day by the address to the Creator of the universe and the Governor of all nations, beseeching him to preside in our council, enlighten our minds with a portion of heavenly wisdom, influence our hearts with the love of truth and justice, and to crown our labors with complete and abundant success. And they took a 3-day break, and they all went to church, and they prayed, and they rested up a little bit. And when they came back, 14 days later, they had the Constitution.
Right.
And so, you know, it's just amazing when you look at it, because the Senate and the House were compromises. The Senate was a compromise to the small states. Wyoming has the same number of senators that California has. The House of Representatives is picked up on a per capita basis. So that's part of how we got that. It was a compromise between the big states and the small states.
Right. That brings up another issue. The way you're going to get involved with this process is you need to run for office. And there's too many people that say, "Oh, I can't run for office. I gotta dig beets. I gotta take care of my kids and stuff like that." Well, that's fine. Those are good issues. But unless good people get into office, it's not going to change. We're going to take another break right now. Well, welcome back. We are Ring the Bell in Park County. Larry French and Bob Berry. Thanks for listening. There are a number of issues that are pretty hot topics that we're going to get much more in depth in, but we wanted to relate a couple of issues. Larry told me about a sugar beet truck.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when it was. It was last sugar campaign, and beet truck was loaded, headed to south of Basin to the piler down there at the pile grounds for Wyoming Sugar.
Yeah.
Blew a front tire, sucked them off the road. They went through the right-of-way and rolled the truck on the other side of the right-of-way fence on BLM property.
Right.
There's a BLM warden or ranger or whatever they call him who was listening to the scanner and heard that it happened. It's my understanding that he came over there and made them clean that sugar beet mess up, which is correct. They should. They wanted to. They had to take those beets to the pile. But would not let them use the loader. Had to pack those sugar beets
by hand.
And I don't know if you've ever...
How many ton is that?
Well, there'd be probably about 12.
12 ton.
12 tons, and they probably weigh about 5 pounds apiece. So there's a lot of beets, and I'm telling you, I've done it before.
Yeah.
It is a long process.
And you're chunking them up into the truck. It's not just like...
Right, they're heavy.
15 feet up.
You get hit in the head if you're not careful. And then as the process went on, it's my understanding that they were told that they would be fined $10,000 a day until that mess was cleaned up, and wouldn't even let them use the loader.
Yeah.
So this is some of the garbage that's hosted or posted or however you want to say it on our citizenry, because I can assure you, as a person who has driven a beet truck, nobody wants to blow a front tire, nobody wants to roll a truck, nobody wants to do these kinds of things, and it's just heinous. And then we had a fundraiser at the Park County GOP 2 years ago. It was it was actually March 20th of 2014, and a lady named Ramona Hagee, her family has fought the BLM and the Forest Service in California and in Nevada.
Yeah.
For 2 generations.
15 years. And
they have won repeatedly, and they can't get any compensation.
And nothing happens. Yeah.
They're just taking their private property rights away from them, and those kinds of things. So these are some of the issues that we've looked at that we want to that we will be bringing.
Well, one of the most telling issues is one of our colleagues, not particularly with this show, but we hope to get him on this show, is Stan Jones. Stan Jones was hit with an unbelievable issue with BLM. And what most people don't understand is BLM is your land. It's my land. But the people that are in charge of the hen house have taken it upon themselves to be tyrants, particularly.
When we were at the state GOP convention in, I think it was in Evanston a couple of years ago, I think it was the Rocky Lands of the West Foundation or something along that line, showed us a map. If you look at the eastern boundary of Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico, everything west of there, with the exception of Hawaii, is where 90% of all the federal land exists.
Yeah.
The state of Nebraska came into the Union 1 month before the state of Nevada. Nevada has, it's like 87 or 90% federal BLM and Forest Service.
Right.
And the only federal land in Nebraska are the Indian reservations.
Right.
So you see those kinds of things, and we have something along the line of $1 billion of income that we send to the federal government off of federal lands, and they may or may not do what they call payment in lieu of taxes. And Texas and North Dakota, look at the boom that's going on in North Dakota in the oil fields.
Right.
It's all on private land.
Well, we have gone way overboard on federal control. Exact opposite of what James Madison and Thomas Jefferson wanted to have when they wrote the Constitution. Well, James Madison was involved with writing the Constitution. Jefferson was not. But we have just gone 180 degrees opposite of what the founding of this country was about. If you want to try to build anything today, give you an example. I build little projects here and there. All the permits, all the taxes, all the fees, all the things that you have to jump through to just get something built. If the Hoover Dam was a project today, it would never be built, and all the benefits that people get from that dam would not be here. What you're talking about with the federal lands in Wyoming, Nevada, and everything else is being addressed by the American Land Council. And that's one thing that we need to put up on our Facebook page is how to get a hold of that information. If you look at a map that the American Lands Council puts out there, and this is just very fundamental, it's not exactly, but everything east of the Mississippi River is pretty much a white map with little red dots in it. Everything west of the Mississippi River or west of North Dakota down to Texas is completely red because of all the federal control that is basically unconstitutional. Now, you can get a lot of lawyers get around and say, oh, yeah, we got to do this, we got to do that. But the fundamental principle is that when you become a state, you get all your house in order, and then the federal government is supposed to deed all those lands back to the state, and that has not happened in the West.
Correct,
so,
and it's just a sad scenario, but as we walk through these issues and as we become more informed, we're going to be better able to communicate. And one of the things that really disappoints me, especially in the EPA things with the gentleman down in Lyman, with the clean air land grab around the Wind River Indian Reservation, and with the waters of the U.S., the 10th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States allows us to spoil those kinds of things. And all that has to happen, seriously, is the governor has to say, not on my watch. EPA, you have no authority. And one of the things you can do is go online. I did it the other day, and I was really surprised. If you look at Maryland versus the EPA, the Supreme Court case, the Supreme Court said that I think it was the Clean Air Act, but it could have been the Clean Water, whichever one it was, the EPA had no authority to enforce any laws in Maryland.
Yeah, I would suggest to anybody that's listening, when did the EPA start? Under whose administration?
Yes.
And how long has it been around? And what authority does it have? Zero. There is no constitutional authority for the EPA whatsoever. But yet we bow to it. All of our elected officials just, we can't do anything about it. They wring their hands. We don't have the votes. Well, it happened. It can be unhappened.
And another issue that I happened to be at a meeting last night where the Wyoming Game and Fish gentleman, Luke Ellsbury, and two other gentlemen talked. They're the large carnivore people, so they watch.
I thought we were all carnivores.
Yeah, but these are large carnivores.
Well, some of us are larger than others.
That's true. Grizzly bears, mountain lions, wolves, and it was mostly about grizzly bears. It was very, very informative. And they're trying to get, the Wyoming Game and Fish is working diligently to get the grizzly bears delisted.
Right.
And what they're finding is that the population is trending down because the habitat is oversaturated with bears, and they're very viable. But what's happening is the bears are killing each other and eating each other.
Really?
Yeah. And so it was a very interesting program, and again, there's another issue.
Yeah.
And when they brought the wolves in, I don't remember when it was, but it was
1995.
They come in there and they broke their own federal law.
Oh.
And one thing that really surprised me was that the Endangered Species Act expired 15 years ago.
That's right. How many people know that? We are working with an unlawful law that is out of date anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are many issues that we'd like to talk about. One thing I want to kind of touch on is immigration in Wyoming. If you know what Newsmax is, it is a news clearinghouse all over the country for various issues. And I would just like to read you these statistics. This comes from Newsmax. There were about 5,000 illegal immigrants in Wyoming in 2010, 5 years ago. The Federation of American Immigration Reform, FAIR, estimated. This organization, which studies immigration policies and population throughout the country, estimated the cost of illegal immigration to Wyoming taxpayers at $59 million per year. Now, you tell me that these immigrants down in Cheyenne or in Gillette or wherever have no impact on you. That's $59 million out of your money. The Casper Star Tribune, 2013, July 6th, quote, the cost of taxpayers of illegals in Wyoming is $50 million in the last decade. The cost to our nation as a whole is $100 billion. Amnesty without secure borders will destroy us financially, politically, and culturally. And yet we had people in the 1980s that wanted amnesty for illegal aliens. We have people now that want amnesty for illegal aliens. Well, that's all well and good. Well, where is this money going to come from?
Because what I find interesting about this is the word illegal.
Right.
They're breaking our law.
Yeah.
I thought we were a nation of laws where we were supposed to take care of our people by enforcing the law.
Well, that's all well and good, but that's called the Constitution, and nobody pays attention to the Constitution anymore. That's why we want people to get involved with the Constitution.
You know, and most Americans, probably all of them except, well, I would suggest to you that all Americans are immigrants at one time. Native Americans, it's my understanding, walked across the land bridge between Asia, Russia, and that when they did that.
During the Ice Age. Okay.
Anyway, we'll continue on here. We've got a break that we're getting ready. Welcome back to our inaugural show of Ring the Bell. If you have tuned in and didn't hear how you can have comments on that we can understand how you feel, is that you can go to email at Ring the Bell. It's RTB now, NOW, at zoho.com. And then we also have a Facebook page. It's Ring the Bell in Park County by Abigail Adams.
Right.
And we would really appreciate your comments. And, we've kind of been talking towards those who are uninvolved. But we have just a ton of great people in our county and our state that are involved and working and active, and we appreciate all that you do. And we just thank you so much for all that.
And they are concerned people. I met so many people when I campaigned, and you have met so many people being the former president or
Chairman.
Was it chairman of the Republican Party. There are a lot of people that care, no doubt about it. But what we're here is to try to encourage you. And we want to let you know you're not alone. There are too many people that sit at their houses or at their job and think, well, what can I do because I'm only one person? You are not alone. There are millions and millions of people in this country that feel just like you do. And this radio show, we're hoping, is going to be a venue by which you can first feel inspired and then do something. Right?
That's correct. And this is going to date me. Bob spilled the beans that we're both 65. But on Hee Haw, they had BR 549. So our BR 549 is Facebook and RTB Now, Zoho.com. And we're so glad to be able to do this and bring this show to you. But back to this immigration thing. America is a place of immigrants. And like you said before, even the Native Americans come across the land bridge during the Ice Age. My kinfolk come from Ireland.
And mine came from Germany.
Yeah, my great-grandfather was John Joseph Kennedy. My grandmother was Rose Kennedy before she married my grandpa French.
Really?
Yes.
Rose and Joe Kennedy.
Yes, and my family has there's a French family coat of arms in Northern Ireland. Then on my mother's side, there's O'Malley's and O'Leary's.
Wow.
So that's why Tim and I are so stubborn. We used to think it was that we drank Heart Mountain water make you stubborn, but that's not true. It's part of our Irish heritage.
Yeah.
And we just thank you so much for all that you do. And Bob, we have a few more minutes here.
Yeah, well, I wanted to hit some more on that immigration thing. The difference between our grandparents' generation and now is that those people came to this country looking for a better life and looking for a way to build up a new country. The last large immigration was in 1900. And in fact, a little tidbit of information if you don't know, where most of those people came from was not through Ellis Island in New York. Most of them came in through Galveston and New Orleans and came up the Mississippi. And they populated a lot of the interior of Texas. A lot of Germans did that. But the difference that we have between then and now is that we have immigration, but those people have no intention of becoming citizens. So we have a big country of immigrants, but not citizens.
I have a friend whose parents, he's the first generation born in the United States. And he told me that when they came to America from the country that they left, they came here to be Americans. They learned the English. They changed their religion. They became Christians. They did it because they wanted to be Americans. And, that is so important that for these people to assimilate. And like Bob said earlier, the Somalis have no intention of assimilating. That's why they want to build mosques. And isn't it interesting that Saudi Arabia is willing to fund a mosque for every 200 people of Muslim faith that come across, but they're not willing to put one penny into taking these refugees or any of that kind of stuff.
And that brings up another subject that I wanted to kind of touch on. Those of us that are Christians know what the word stewardship means. It means to give money and put it in the offering plate. No, that's not what it means. Stewardship is what you do with what you have, whether it's your time, your money, or your talents. And too many people in this country that profess to be Christians do not espouse the true tenet of stewardship. We have the greatest country in the world, given to us by God, by a whole lot of really dedicated folks back in the 18th century. And what are we doing with that stewardship? We are squandering a wonderful document called the Constitution. We are squandering a wonderful document called the Bill of Rights, a wonderful document called the Declaration of Independence. So we would like to encourage people to be good stewards of what you have, not just your money, but your wonderful country. And hopefully we will give you some avenues by which you can start doing something about that.
We're very close to closing here, and I'd like to read a couple statements from David Barton's Founder's Bible. The Bible is the best of all books, for it is the Word of God and teaches us the way to be happy in this world and in the next. Continue, therefore, to read it and regulate your life by its precepts. John Jay, President of the Continental Congress, author of the Federalist Papers. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. The first and almost the only book deserving such universal recommendation is the Bible. John Quincy Adams, President. The Bible contains more knowledge necessary to man in his present state than any other book in the world. By renouncing the Bible, philosophers swing from their moorings upon all moral subjects. It is the only correct map of the human heart that ever has been published. Benjamin Rush, who was one of the signers of the Declaration.
Yeah. How many people know who Benjamin Rush was? I mean, he was a very influential doctor and patriot that was involved with the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
Well, here's a little history tidbit that I learned that I did not learn in my history class in school. Can you tell me, Bob, why the British Army marched out of Boston, headed to Concord, and then, of course, we know they were fired on at Lexington? You know the reason why they went?
They were going to go take the armory away.
That's correct. But you weren't taught that in school.
No.
All they told us was the British Army went to Concord and was fired on at Lexington.
And what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of those guys at Lexington and in Concord left their churches with their pastors, which is the Black Robe Regiment, which we'll talk about later. And they didn't call Washington or Adams or Jefferson and say, hey, would it be okay if we defend ourselves? No, they went out and took care of business for themselves. So there are a lot of little bits of information like that, little pieces of history that we would like to get people aware of, because there are too many people around that just think, oh, we can't do that because we're nobody. Well, you are somebody, and you are going to be even more somebody when you contact us on Facebook at Ring the Bell in Park County, or our email address, which is rtbnow, N-O-W, at zoho.com. That's Z-O-H-O.com. And we really so much appreciate you people listening to us, and hopefully we'll be better as we get along. We've been kind of nervous and stumbling around on some of the things we've been trying to do today, but we have good hearts, and we know you have a good heart, and we want to help inspire that.
And you know, we don't just want to hear comments that we agree with.
Correct.
Because the foundation of our republic and the importance of all that we do is to have debate.
That's correct.
And so
if you have a different opinion, please contact us.
Yes, please
we'll try to change your mind.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But we do want to have a deliberate, educated, and calm debate about whatever it is that we're talking about. Larry and I even disagree on a couple of things.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but anyway, those are the things that we are about. And what I would like to do is close this part of our segment before we have no time left with a Celtic blessing that I have hanging in my bed and breakfast that I tell everybody. May those that love us, and those that do not love us, may God turn their hearts. And if he cannot turn their hearts, may he turn their ankles so that we know them by their limping. It's 800 years old, and it still is apropos today. We think that this country does not have a political problem nor an economic problem. It has a spiritual problem. Too many of us think we're going to change this, we're going to fix this. It's not going to happen unless we have God in our hearts. And there are an awful lot of people that do have God in their hearts and can do something about it. When David Barton was here, we had an assembly of pastors, lay people, leaders of congregations from all over the Bighorn Basin. We had 56 people there for that breakfast. And it was one of the pastors that called up said, I heard you're having a breakfast with David Barton. Can I come out? I'd like to be part of the Black Robe Regiment. And I really would like to touch on that particular issue in an upcoming show if that's possible. But again, if there's anybody out there that wants to contribute to this show, please, whether you are for or against us, we would like to talk to you. And the way you get a hold of us is on Facebook, Ring the Bell in Park County, or our email address, which is rtbnow, N-O-W, at zoho.com. That's Z-O-H-O.com. And I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank Larry for holding my hand during this and me holding his hand. We are just tickled that we're getting this show on the road. This show's going to go on for 13 weeks. So please tell all your friends and neighbors that Saturday on KODI you can listen to probably things that you've not ever heard before and different opinions that you may not have been.
And for all those who are involved and active and just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
We live in the greatest country in the world, and we can make this thing even better.
And we live in one of the most wonderful, beautiful states in the whole country, and we need to take care of it. So thanks again for coming and listening. Bye.
You have